Hello, everybody. Welcome back to All for United. We are here for the Manchester Derby preview. I am Simon. I've got a lovely panel here tonight. We've got Reese, I've got Stu, and I've got Anton. Looking forward to, the first United game in I think 28 days by my mathematics. If we are by that point on Sunday anyway. So it's been a fair while coming, and I think we've all missed club football after that international break as well. So without further ado, let's get into it. Reese, we're facing a City side that we know the quality, we know what they're all about, but they've not really faced anybody massive so far this year, even if they have been pulling teams apart that that they probably should be doing, but they still look good, but maybe not had the test that we've had so far. What are you expecting from them? And do you think we might have lost a bit of momentum after not playing 28 days, or should that not matter? We should be straight back into it.
Yeah, from their perspective, I think evening to John, by the way, just who was commenting there in the chat. So evening, John. I think the scary thing about City is that they've got some frailties. Obviously, they struggled. Did they draw against Villa? They struggled against Newcastle as well, didn't they? I watched that game. It was a brilliant game, actually. And they were quite lucky towards the end. Obviously, their quality shone through and managed to claw a result back. But Newcastle played well that day and they deserved something out of that game. But they've got issues. They've got the leaking goals. I think when a team's leaking goals, obviously you've always got a bit of a chance, and City have always been quite a robust team. I think they've sorted that out over recent years with Pep, where they stopped leaking goals and they've become a little bit of a dominant sort of force in terms of the defensive display as well as their attacking display. But they're starting to show that weakness again, where they're not entirely sure of their back four. I think that's kind of come under question again. Laporte's kind of gone off the radar. Diaz, I don't think, has been that kind of phenomenal centre half that we saw from a year or two ago. So they've got some issues there, and I think Stones, his sort of injury hit list is usually kind of prone to injuries, isn't he, as well? So I think we've got chances there. I think if we play the way that we've been playing recently in terms of that counter-attacking style with that pace that we've got, then we can really hurt City, and I think that's where we've had success over them over recent years. Having that kind of counter-attacking style and having that pace, and unfortunately allowing them to have the ball. I was at a League Cup game a year or two ago where we got absolutely drubbed. We lost 3-0 at home, and unfortunately, when you allow City to have the ball, that can happen. We can get sort of put to sleep to a degree. But if we stay in the game, we have some fight. Then we've always got a bit of a chance, and I think that's kind of what upset a lot of fans last season when there was a couple of performances against City where we just allowed them to just dictate, which was always going to happen, but didn't give any fight when it came to winning the ball back in our third. But we've got a chance. We've always got a chance. If we show a bit of fight, show a bit of willing, like we did against Liverpool. Got a massive chance to upset City, and I don't think they're that kind of striking force that they were maybe last season or the season before that. So, I'm totally expecting us to get something out of the game, or at least put a good performance in. I think is kind of what I'm expecting. So,
yeah, like we said, Stu, I think we ended the last period of games, obviously, with them 2 cancellations. It's thrown us off a bit, but we ended in pretty good form. 4 wins on the bounce, which has been pretty unheard of for us in recent times as well. Two good wins against 2 good sides, and then 2 away wins were at grounds where we struggled at Leicester and Southampton. How are you feeling about the momentum, or is it one of those where form and all that form goes out the window, cliche and stuff when it's one of these big games, because they're in a similar position as well. Nobody's played much Premier League football in the last month or so. So do you think it's going to have an impact on the game?
Not really. Look, football's as much as about mindset that it is your skill levels. I was once told by a coach years and years and years ago, football's 90% your brain, which it is, and that your brain dictates where your legs go, and that's what happens in football. I actually think we'll beat City. I think it'll be a relatively tight game, but I think we'll beat them. I think we'll have enough in the bank to beat them. There'll be a lot of people that think that City's indestructible. Well, a long time can happen over 90 minutes. A lot can happen over 90 minutes in football. We played a final in Portugal on Sunday. We battered a team, absolutely battered them for pillar to post, but we lost on pens. We just didn't score, and that's what happens in football. We get battered for 92 minutes, and we go up the other end and pop one in. There you go. That is football. So I think as fans, I think as a club, we've got to, every player should be up for Sunday anyway. Should be really looking forward to it. Should be looking forward to the challenge. Should be looking forward to facing the likes of De Bruyne again, trying the hand against Haaland. Seeing if they can get at their back four. Reece is right, they're a bit dodgy at the back. I think the last couple of games, John Stones has been playing right back for some unknown reason, which I'm not quite sure why that's seems to transpire. But we've got enough. We've got some very, very key players. We've got some aggressive footballers back on our side, and we've got some speed. And although that combination of weaponry that we've got now across the pitch will give City problems, and I would imagine Guardiola is not going to be taking this as read that it's a win. They're not playing particularly well. Most people thought, most football pundits thought we'd lose against Liverpool. We didn't. We're on this run now. It is what it is about international football. You've got to get on with it. The lads are still playing in some capacity. Come Sunday, I expect us to go and win the game. I really do. I
like your optimism, and I feel it too as well. To be honest with you, especially when it comes to going there, it just seems to be Manchester derbies. The away team always seems to win, whether it's them coming to us or us going to them. There seems to be. I'm not sure what that is about that, but the away team always does seem to do well, and so that fills you with a little bit of hope. Plus, how we were playing before the break as well. So, yeah, reasons to be optimistic, definitely. Anton, how are you feeling about it, mate? And how much have you missed club football in the last month, really, I suppose, apart from the Europa League games?
I agree with Stu. I think that we're going to win. Not just because we've done well against them recently, but obviously I've been watching Manchester City this season as well as other teams, and they look vulnerable in transition. I think as we've been playing over the past few games, especially with Eriksen in the midfield, the fullbacks especially as well, pushing on and effectively joining the midfield, cutting inside, not almost copying Guardiola's fullbacks, but playing a similar way to them. We're going to have more possession than I think people realize. And I said in transition, we're quite good and they look vulnerable, especially this season. Don't get me wrong, they're still the best team in the Premier League. They're still one of the best teams in Europe, but they just haven't been up to scratch, I think, this season, as well as a lot of other teams. And of course, I've missed watching Manchester United play, especially because, we did win 4 in a row. We beat Liverpool, we beat Arsenal. We had all of our legs to stand on. We could talk on Twitter without getting, justifiably torn apart. I think the momentum definitely would have stopped, but it's still 4 games in a row and the possibility for a 5th. And I think Stu said as well, the away team seems to win. I'm not too fussed about what stadium it's at. It is a derby. It is a grudge match, I guess, almost like the Liverpool, the Arsenal, the Chelsea matches. Form does go out the window. So I would still have expected us to beat them if it was the next match after the 4 in a row, or it is on Sunday. I think I'm quite confident. And with John Stones as well, if I'm correct, I believe he picked up an injury in England's game against Germany.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I'm not sure how serious it is, but it was serious enough for him to come off, weren't it? So
yeah, I'm not sure if his Guardiola. I don't know when Guardiola's press conference is, but obviously we'll find out that situation there. But Ruben Dias, somebody else mentioned him as well. He hasn't really lit up the Premier League this season. Neither has Laporte. Cancelo, as always, he's going to be someone to look out for. A lot of their play does go through him and Kevin De Bruyne. And obviously with Anthony as well, we've got someone on the wing who's obviously very good going forward, but he does get stuck in, and he clearly has a lot of fight in him. He's back on defense. He's helping Dalot a lot, who is, of course, playing well himself. I think it's going to be a tight match, but I'm confident that we'll win, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I agree that I think it'll be. We're hoping it's not one of those games that isn't a tight match and goes the other way, because we've had a few of them. But like I said, we have played well against them in recent times, and we're kind of playing a little bit like we have played under Solskjaer in times where we did have success against City in particular. Not everybody, but Solskjaer had a decent record against Guardiola's, and there's little hints that we're playing a little bit like that at the moment. So again, that adds to it. But I think a lot of the confidence as well hinges on the fact that we have had some international players, and momentum could have been lost a little bit, but we've had players in form during the internationals as well. And I can't claim to have watched a lot of the Nations League because it's on Premier Sports, and who's got Premier Sports? No one. But obviously we've seen the England games and that. But there's been people raving about Eriksen's performances, for example, for Denmark. And Delors played well for Portugal, and Fernandes has had an input as well, playing for Portugal. Malacia as well. I think they qualified for the finals, didn't they? So they've had some positives in the last few weeks. So that's something to take into this game for him, wouldn't you say, Reese?
Yeah, definitely. I'm probably a lot similar to you, Simon. Really. I mean, I watched the Italy game, watched quite a bit of that, and gradually sort of weaned myself off it as the game went on. But the Germany game, I was on stream, so I didn't on Monday. So I watched it briefly, sort of on and off as I was sort of hosting, but I didn't manage to see much of it, if I'm honest. And then I saw some of the goals, and Mr. Tom thought it was great to keep us updated as the game was going on. But yeah, typical England. I mean, I think the next game's Iran, when it's the first big group game, so we've got nothing much now to compare it to in terms of where we're going to be at for the World Cup and the latter stages. Now, looking at where we've finished up in this Nations League, you'd say we're going to do fairly poorly, but I just don't think you can really compare those performances to anything significant. We'll get into a tournament and it'll be a different mindset. As Stu said, that's what it's all about when you get to these kind of big games and these big competitions, and players will switch on, and Southgate will learn a lot, I think, from the formation he's been playing and the players that he's been trusting. And I think that's kind of what he's got to get out of. I know this is not necessarily about England and Southgate, but in terms of some of the Man United players now that are knocking on the door, obviously Rashford coming back. I think Rashford probably 2 or 3 game performances away from showing Southgate that he deserves a place back in the team. And that Man City game this weekend is a test to show for some of these players like Sancho as well, to say, look, I deserve a place back in this team for this World Cup. It's a great opportunity for Man United to sort of show the league where we're at, to show the fans where we're at. But if we win this game on the weekend, then we've beaten Liverpool. We've had some sketchy early performances against teams we probably should have beat. But other than that, I mean, we're starting to sort of put solid runs together. Like you say, it's been 4 wins on the bounce now as well. And then you beat City. It's looking very good. And but obviously it's a big test, and we need to come through that. And if you come through that, then it's like, well, where are you going to finish up in the league? Does the expectancy kind of rise from there? Do we think, we'll go from where we thought probably 5th and 6th at the start of the season to maybe getting that top 4 spot? And I think we've got to believe that if we beat City on Sunday, because then it's looking very, very positive. But yeah, in terms of the England performances, I didn't see much from I know Brazil have done really, really well, haven't they? I'm not sure how much Anthony sort of featured in that and how well he did. Really, I saw some snippets on Twitter and stuff, but I haven't seen much of the games or the scores or results or anything. But I'm sure he did really well, and Fred. So yeah, there's plenty to be positive about. Maybe not so much with England, but I think with Man United players that have been featured. So
yeah, I purposely didn't mention any international United players because actually Luke Shaw scored a goal, so there's that as well. That's a boost to his confidence. Whether he's going to be in the starting 11 or not, is that he's still catching for England. Some could say it's how, but he has done. Stu, have you caught any of the? He's busy. He's gone.
All right,
he's back. Have you caught any of the international? Namely, the actual international ones, like Brazil or anything like that. Have you seen much of that? I mean, like I said, Eriksen's performances have been raved about all over Twitter and stuff. So I don't know if you've seen any of it though. So feel free to pass on this.
I'm gonna have to pass on it because I've been away at a footy tournament, so in sunny Portugal. So I was either drinking heavily or playing.
He's playing international football himself.
Yeah, so
I was it at the same time, Stu? Wasn't drinking and playing football at the same time, was it? That's a particular.
That's a talent.
It's a skill and a talent, and I've nurtured it for many a year, and I seem to have got it down right. I was drinking in one particular game because I had this 2 minutes where I was absolutely fucking woeful. And I mean woeful at best. I couldn't pass for a yard, let alone anything else. So I must have been drinking that. But so I haven't really seen much of it. I saw a little bit of the Portugal game because obviously we were in Portugal, so all the bars are showing that. And Dalot looked decent, but still positionally, he's still an issue. He's still a liability positionally at the back. But going forward, fair play, he seems to have found this rhythm and this new spirit about his game, which seems to be great for us. By all accounts, well, I haven't seen it, but by all accounts, Luke Shaw came on and did pretty well.
Yeah.
For his cameo role. Ericsson again should be smoking and playing. I'll try that one next time. Where was I? I completely lost my school of thought.
Eric, you were at Ericsson.
Yeah, by all accounts.
Still in Portugal, Stu, aren't you?
I am. You want to literally? I've played footy tonight, and again, I don't know why I bothered lacing up the coppers because I couldn't pass again all night this time. It was a waste of space. By all accounts, Ericsson had a solid game, but I did see that Casemiro was absolute quality for Brazil.
Yeah.
I think he laid a pass on for Vinicius. I think quite a decent pass. He looked good from what I can see from Casemiro. So I'm kind of with the guys. I hate international football. It kind of just bores me. I'm quite looking forward to the World Cup, obviously, but I'd echo what Reece says, really. You know, the lads have got to forget what happened over the last week and a half. They've just got to concentrate fully on Sunday. What I would say, though, is, and this is where Guardiola will be thinking, there'll be problems here. And that is, Ten Hag's had 2 weeks of preparation for this game. 3 weeks. Is it 3 weeks? It's got to be 3 weeks of preparation for this game.
Yeah, well, it's been 4 weeks for us, and they played that. They played that weekend where he didn't they? So
he's got time to think about what he's going to do. He's got time to study the opposition for the first time properly, and I think that will work in our benefit.
Or he could overthink it like he has done on occasion.
Let's hope
it's not a Champions League final, is it? So
yes, let's hope he doesn't.
Yeah, we'll move on from the international stuff anyway. Anton, let's come to you and let's remember what I was going to say next because I had. We'll move on to the Varane and Martinez against Haaland and how much of an interesting matchup that's going to be. I mean, people have been questioning whether Martinez can handle it against Haaland, and obviously it's been pointed out that he played pretty well against him for Ajax. So,
just about to say that.
Are you worried about it, or any cause for concern? Or I mean, the guy you're scoring goals for fun, but you score goals for fun against lesser opposition, shall we say? So, do you think? Have you got confidence that we can keep him under control on Sunday?
I mean, it's obviously going to be difficult. Let's not try and say that Martinez is going to completely nullify Haaland. I mean, he might, but it's easier said than done. Of course, he did play against Dortmund last season twice in the group stages, and they won both. They won both legs. I think it was 4-0 and 3-1. I think the 3-1 match was at the Signal Iduna Park, and Martinez had Haaland in his back pocket in both matches, and that's not a joke or that's not an exaggeration. He played very well. Martinez versus Haaland reminds me of, I think it was 2015-16 season. I think it was when Everton came to Old Trafford and it was Lukaku versus Blind. You have a massive physical striker, powerful, fast, and good in the box against a smaller defender. I guess with a similar profile to Martinez. I mean, Martinez would be stronger, but Blind is smarter. I think Martinez is going to have to use his brain again. He has to stand off Haaland. He has to give him the time to take a touch and then come in for the tackle. He's done it before, and I don't think it's going to be any different. He's going to remember that. He's going to go back to how we performed well against him before and think about, what did I do well against him? How did he get the better of me? And how can I improve myself or change my game on Sunday to make sure he doesn't get the better of me? But then, of course, what Martinez does have, I think, compared to last season, is a better centre-back partner in Rafael Varane, who is fast enough to kind of keep up with Haaland. He's intelligent, he's experienced, and he would have played against these strikers before. So I think, he might score. Everything I might have said might come back and kick me in the bum, but I think it will be quite a decent matchup, and I think Martinez especially will do quite well against Haaland. But I think it also depends on who plays around Haaland. If you have a player like Phil Foden, if Grealish does start compared to Riyad Mahrez or someone, I think it might be an interesting battle with the players around them, not especially Haaland and Martinez. But that's my opinion on that.
Yeah, it's going to be depend how he's being fed, and I think he's developed a bit of a decent relationship with Foden, and I think he's got quite a few assists for him so far. So, yeah, fair point in pointing that out. We're just going to get some comments before we come back to you, Reese, because I realise I've ignored everybody so far. So, John, hello, how you doing, mate? Hammer is also in the chat as well. So is Dan, and he's also asked us for a City United combined 11, but I just can't do that right now because I hate combined 11s personally. And we know, I think there'll be quite a few City players in there, so I don't want to do that embarrassing thing of actually putting up. Anybody else saying hello? No. So we'll come to you. We'll come to you, Reese. How are you feeling about Haaland and, well, City's attacking prowess in general against our new and improved backline? I think we can say we're looking reasonably solid at the back compared to the mess that was the start of the season.
Yeah, I don't know what to touch on first. I'll touch on our back line first. I'm more confident about it. I think in possession, really, because the modern day game or any sort of elite level of football, I mean, you sort of even at a point of view where you're trying to teach young kids in grassroots. I mean, I coach a team under nines level, and we try to sort of instill that upon our kids, and we play teams who play a similar sort of way, especially academy level, where you want the back line to retain the ball, even kids. So like at a top level, you want to see that where even in tight areas, when you're pressed in the final third, in your own third, you want to see teams work it out and play it out and not just kick it away. The days of that happening have gone unless there's absolute serious danger, and obviously that's why City are regarded as one of the best teams in the country, and have done for many years because of the way that they play, and Barcelona prior to that. So in terms of the back line that we've got, we're starting to sort of play that way where we're comfortable in possession, and it allows the people to play around us, the midfield as well. And that's why kind of Eriksen is coming to this team now and is really shining, because he's able to kind of transition that from that back line and take it to the midfield and progress the ball even further, which is great. So Martinez coming in, I think he's got that confidence where he looks like a midfielder playing in defence, but he's got that bite and that aggression to get him through and become a defender, an elite defender in the Premier League. Obviously, stature is the biggest thing, but I don't think that's a sticking point as much as a lot of pundits want to call upon that, because it's an obvious sign, but I don't think it's an issue. And yeah, we look good, and Varane's kind of stepped up a notch because he's been playing with a teammate who's at that level that he's similarly at. So it's obviously he's back to where he was before when he came to the club a couple of years ago. So it's great to see. In terms of Haaland, I'm not so worried about Haaland, which might sound really silly. I'm more worried about the players and the ability around him, because in terms of the goals that he scored, I mean, the Dortmund one, everyone was kind of like flying out of the seats, going, "Wow, what a goal!" The ball was far much better than the goal. He was just a big guy, 6 foot odd, and he got his leg to it and he put it in. Now that might sound really silly again, but the ball was incredible. I think it was Cancelo, wasn't it? And it was the outside of the foot pass to Haaland. It was just incredible incredible pass. Obviously, De Bruyne has been amazing as well in terms of some of the assists he's provided for Haaland. The only one I was really kind of impressed with was his goal. I think he was outside the box. Was it Wolves? When he drove, it was about 20 minutes into the game. He drove against the defender and he sent him the wrong way. Then he hit it the opposite corner and he scuffed the shot. But it was like, because he's got that kind of power, he sent it into the corner anyway. That was the only one where I felt there was a bit of an individual brilliance to it. All the rest of his goals have been classic kind of poacher goals where the brilliance around him is so potent. Foden, Cancelo, De Bruyne, Gundogan, Rodri. I mean, you name it, the talent they've got around them, for him not to be scoring goals when he's, a very good striker, would be sacrilege. So for me, I'm not as concerned about Haaland as I am about the rest of the team, because obviously they're going to dominate the ball. we need to make sure that we're aggressive, we're pressing them, that we're not giving them time on the ball to deliver those kind of balls into him. If he gets a chance, he's going to score because that's what he's there to do, and he's a big guy, and he knows where the back of the net is. But you give him a chance in and around the 6-yard box, you'd expect any elite striker to be putting that away. And yeah, I'm less concerned about Haaland and more concerned about the ability around him, to be quite honest, and how we stop that. But yeah,
I see what you're saying there. Definitely. I mean, it's all about cutting off his supply line, and if we can do that and we can defend as a unit, which I think Ten Hag's been drilling into us more and more recently. Hopefully we can do that and stop him getting them chances to get those, like you said, those scruffy goals that you want your striker to get. I mean, I think he's got 11 in Premier League already, so he's obviously doing something right and getting in the right positions. But yeah, I'd agree as well. He hasn't been flying through like we've maybe seen him do in the Bundesliga so far. He's been playing in a different way in a different team, and but he's obviously he still scores, and his goal ratio is still ridiculous. But yeah, the focus should be on stopping those around him to providing those chances. But that's probably easier said than done, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I was saying that he could hit that Haaland goal as well, but I'm not so sure considering what he said he's smoking. So maybe he's not so sure. Hammer on that one, mate.
Stu, how are you feeling about the Haaland thing?
Look, if I'm in the dressing room, I'm loving it. I'm absolutely gagging to get out there on Sunday afternoon because, you know, for me, you want to pick yourself against the best, and Haaland at the minute is probably the best striker in European football. Both lads are absolutely spot on. Reece is the way he's described. You know, the Cancelos, the De Bruynes, and the Fodens. More worried about them is absolutely right. But then I'm going to put another caveat to it, another angle to it. I'm worried about the spacing behind. So as a centre half, Haaland doesn't like to push the back line back too much, which is great. And he doesn't like to push it back because he wants to drive in to the space in between. And unfortunately, we know that if he does get the run on our defenders and we're not that quick enough to get back, old De Gea is going to be shaking like a leaf as a steam train comes to him and while he's stuck in his line. So that's a major issue. And I've said this plenty of times, and people will you know, they just go on at you and go on at you and go on at you about Maguire. But Maguire's biggest issue the last 18 months has been De Gea stuck on the line and the space in between that wasn't there when Henderson was there. And that's why Maguire was a bit more comfortable with it. On Sunday, and Anton was right. Martinez knows how to play Haaland. He knows exactly what to do. And you've got really 2 or 3 options with Haaland. You either go touch tight and he'll destroy you with his strength, or you give him that extra yard, then he destroys you with pace. So what do you want to? So what do you do with him? Do you know what you got to do with him? You got to fight him. You got to wrestle the guy. You have to disrupt him because. And this is what, by the way, and Anton will agree with this. This is exactly what Martinez did when he played him against Dortmund twice. He wrestled him. He disrupted him. He was quick. He was bang, 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 constantly at him. He's like a little gnat just fucking chipping away. And that's what you have to do with somebody like Haaland because he'll hate it. You want to make sure, he's a centre half, right? You want to make sure that your striker, every time the ball comes anywhere near to him, he's looking around for you. And he's not concentrating on what he's doing. Okay. And that's the real key to it. And it does sound basic. I know it does. I know it sounds basic. It sounds like I'm reading an under-8s manual. But sometimes you've got to go rogue at football. You've got to forget about playing football to disrupt somebody like Haaland. Because if you allow them to play, and Reece rightly points out, if you allow them to play in front of you, and you allow Haaland that space in behind, he's going to score a fucking hatload against any team, not just Manchester United, any team. So if you can disrupt the front 3, the front 4, the front 5 in some way, and certainly Haaland, if you can make him look, if you can make him think, if you make him foul you, if you can draw a foul off him, and then it gives you that breathing space. Okay, that's how you defend somebody like Erling Haaland. Now, people look at me and laugh. You're not a pro footballer, blah, 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 blah. No, I played at a very, very good level and I know how to defend. And it sounds very, very simple. But if you allow him to play his game, he scores. So, and this is where De Gea, you've got to, in training, you've got to get Varane smashing him about. Do you know, interestingly enough, by the way, guys, and I hate to say this, Martinez by himself, we need a more for Varane and Maguire, because Maguire's the best header in the back line. He wins every header. I'm not saying Haaland's dangerous in the air, but it gives, it would give City something else to consider. Now he's injured anyway, and I don't think he was going to play. Let's be fair, he wasn't going to play. It's always going to be Varane, but Varane's got to toughen up in my eyes. He's just got to be a bit, stand up a little bit stronger, stand up a bit taller, and when we are defending set pieces, he's got to maybe pick Haaland up, and he's got to let Martinez go and pick somebody else up, whoever that may be. So you've got to be very, very fluid in the back. But if it was me, I would just forget football. I would just disrupt him. I'd do everything I could to disrupt him. Anytime he walked past me, I'd kick him. Anytime he walked past me, I'd pull his hair if I could. Blindsided the referee, obviously. Do something. Pull his shirt. Just do something. It's horrible. It's bitty. It's old school football. And there are occasions in life where you've got to forget modern football. You've got to forget it. Knock it out the window. And you've got to play old school time. So that's how I would look at it, and that's the way I would play it. I'm not saying I'm right. It's just an opinion.
It's funny with Maguire, actually, Stu. I don't know if you because obviously, consider aside from the fact that he's had a pretty poor game the other night, and obviously not had a great start to the season either. He's under a bit of criticism, a lot of criticism from last season as well. He's a classic kind of. If you was put, him in a bracket of defenders, you put him in the bracket of like sort of classic type defenders, wouldn't you?
Steve Bruce,
and Haaland,
type defender.
Yeah, and obviously Haaland's quite a classic number 9, so it's almost like quite a familiar matchup, isn't it? It's like somebody you put him up against. He's physical, he's big, and you need another physical big centre half.
You're right. You're right. The thing is, though, the fan base, they'll forget that they won't look at that, Reece. They'll just look at Maguire as he is. So you're absolutely right. Do you remember Steve Bruce? Well, of course you do. Fucking hell, what am I saying? Steve Bruce. Steve Bruce was no. He was ugly, but he was hard as nails. He was a good footballer, but he did the old school dirty work that a defender has to do when you're going up against a 6'4", 6'5" brute of a centre forward. That's what you do. You mix it back with him. And that's what Haaland did. Martinez did. What Anton was discussing about the Dortmund game. He was getting a flick in. He was getting his foot in. He was getting his left foot in all the time. And remember, by the way, guys, Haaland is all left foot.
Yeah.
Everything he does is left foot. I mean, the goal he scored, Reece is right. That poser Cancelo, fucking hate him, putting a lovely cross. But it was his left. He tucked it away with his left foot. It was a right footing, Yeah, of course it should. But he tucked it away with his left foot. So Martinez recognised that, realised it, and was on his left foot all the time, constantly. He was just digging at it. That's what Reece was talking about. Anton again. Apologies, mate. Anton was talking about Blint and Lukaku. He was just picking at Lukaku. That's what we've got to do. I don't know what you guys think, but that's my thought.
No, I would agree. I think we need to make it a derby as well, and probably rattle them a little bit. Which is, again, we've frustrated them on the times that we have done well. I think particularly the one where we stopped them winning the league when we won 3-2. There, I mean, it meant nothing other than a derby winning. It didn't win the trophy. We didn't win the league against us, but the end of that game just got really bitty, and people were at each other's throats and stuff. And it was, like that. I want to see a bit of that, and that is one way to disrupt them for sure. Hammer had a point there. He said, we need a Vidic performance to knock Haaland down a peg. Or dare I say a king? Yeah, I mean, we got more of those types of players now than we previously did. Maybe not fully formed in the sense that they were, but we're getting there on that one. Right, the last thing I wanted to cover before we get into predictions is the forward line, really, and I'm not sure who's fit, to be honest with you. I've not seen any training photos or anything, but if Rashford is fit, does he come back in, and who does he come back in for? Anton, you can go first. Who's he coming in for then if he's here?
He has to play through the middle. mainly because I think, even though I said I think we're going to have more possession than people would expect us to have, I still think we're going to be playing with Rashford on the last shoulder because for all of their qualities at the back, the only pace they have is Kyle Walker on the right-hand side. Cancelo can get across the ground quite quickly, but he's not. He won't be able to keep up with Antony. He won't be able to keep up with Rashford. Sancho isn't the fastest, but he still has legs on him. Ruben Diaz, and I'm assuming it's going to be Laporte at the back, aren't the paciest of defenders. So Eric Ten Hag will definitely be looking to utilize the pace that Marcus Rashford has. Not on the counter-attack, but just in general play. He will be looking to play on the shoulder of the last defender. I just want to quickly talk about what Stu said as well. Set pieces. We don't have a tall team. Our team is quite short. The only aerial presence we really have would be the defensive midfielder and Ronaldo if he plays. I'm going to say that's going to be McTominay because he was playing well before the international break and he did keep up his form for Scotland. It was quite noted on Twitter, especially like Ten Hag has done something with McTominay. And I'm all for it. So that will be kind of the only aerial threat we have. So I would kind of expect to see a McTominay or Casemiro marking Haaland on corners. But with the attack, it has to be Sancho on the left, Rashford through the middle, and Antony on the right. That I think that's just standard at the moment.
Yeah, you think it's kind of going in that direction. It's hard to see. It's hard to see Ronaldo coming in again from the start. I think he's had a bit of stick for his performances for Portugal again this week. I mean, he's not quite. Well, I think he's partly struggling because he's not playing every game. I mean, he can't play him every game because he's 37, but also some players, need a run of games, and especially at that age, I think it can be quite easy to become rusty, can't it, and not really get back into it, especially after no pre-season and that. But yeah, Reece, what do you think if Rashford is fit? Does he come straight back in for you? Is it the same sort of front three that Anton mentioned?
Yeah, I think so. I think in terms of how when we've had any sort of level of success against City, it's been when kind of he's played and when Martial played, really, to be fair. But I obviously don't think Martial will be anywhere near to our level of fitness. And plus, I think even if he was fit, I don't think he would play because obviously it'd be too soon. I think in terms of Rashford, yeah, he's got to play. I think just because of that pace that he offers the team, and we haven't really got that kind of blistering pace. Alanga maybe, but I just think he's not really kind of showing the levels consistently that we need. I mean, the front line really hasn't, has it? I think the successes we've had this season have been from the back line having some consistency in the midfield, having a little bit of level of consistency as well. But the forward line's still got a lot to prove. So yeah, you'd probably go obviously Antony, sort of Rashford, and then Sancho left probably in terms of a forward line. And again, it's just with that pace. But I'm just wondering. I mean, I don't know. Obviously, Antony's got a little bit of pace more than Sancho has on the other side, but maybe he'll feel as if he needs a little bit more pace and he won't play Sancho because I don't think Sancho's got that kind of blistering in behind type pace that you probably need against a City if you're going to play a counter-attacking style. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see what he does. But yeah, Rashford I think definitely comes back into the team, to be honest.
Yeah. Stu, for you, does he come back in for you? And is there any calls for? I mean, we'll get to what we think Ten Hag will go for, but in terms of what you would prefer to see on Sunday, is there a shout for anybody else in that forward line, or is it the three names mentioned? I mean, Alanga sometimes gets in on these goals for work rate, league games, on work rate and things like that. Yeah. I mean, is there a call for that? I'm not saying that particularly as personally, but
I think the guys are right really on both sets. I tend to agree with them with Rashford. You would like to think he'll come in, but look, the issue you're going to have. There's not enough goals in that forward line without Ronaldo. I'm not saying Ronaldo is going to be our saviour because he's just not got going yet this season at all. He's been poor, but games like these, big games of football, are turned on its head by a little bit of brilliance at the right time, the right moment, in the right area, and that's the key to it. And you've got to ask yourself, can Rashford offer you the right time, the right moment in the key area when we need it, just when we need it. You know, when that ball's flashed across, what Reece was saying about Cancelo, the poser, was that he had the ability to pick out a ball, and then Haaland wins the game against Dortmund. It was done in a split second, and it was the right pass at the right time, at the right moment for the key part of any game of football. If that's flipped, okay, and Luke Shaw or Malacia pulls in a worldie, have we got somebody, Ronaldo aside, who could deliver that killer punch? And that's the real key to any centre forward play. You know, I always talk about it, Simon. You've heard me talk about it. You know, a centre forward lives in that 6 yard area, that 6 to 7 to 8 yards in and around the goalkeeper. That's where he lives. That's his home. That's where he's hungry. That's where, and if you deliver the ball right and you've got the right type of player that can get there that split second before anyone else in that box to put it away, then you've got danger. And we will need that potentially Sunday. And I'm not sure that front three offers us that. So I guess he comes in. I do. I think Reece might be right. I think Reece might be right about Sancho. I think maybe Sancho comes out. I think Anthony plays. And my front threes, and we'll talk about it later, so my front three would be Rashford, Ronaldo, and Anthony. And purely and simply based on the fact that Ronaldo is the only one in our forward line that has the ability to steal a goal when we need it, or could need it.
The counter argument to that is Rashford has delivered in the big games throughout. I mean, look at his goal record against City, against Liverpool, against Arsenal. I think he's done all right as well, and he has been a big game player for us. So maybe there is an argument.
I wouldn't argue against it. I wouldn't argue against it, but he's not a centre forward for me. There is I
agree with that. Yeah, I don't think it's a difference
between a number 9, okay, and a centre forward. A huge difference. And I've had this debate with people in the past about Greenwood's our future number 9. Or number 11 is our future number 9. He's not good enough. He doesn't have that final, that instinct, that drive, that power just to be able to get you. You ask any top quality number 9, Andy Cole, Ruud van Nistelrooy, Benzema, they've got that ability to think quicker than anyone else. You can't teach it. You can't teach it. And that's the difference between a number 9 and a centre forward. It's that extra ability to think. And that's why Ronaldo, whether people like him or not, and whether people say he's on a dry spell or not, it's an absolute irrelevance. One shot, one goal. He offers one shot, one goal. And it could be the difference over 90 minutes. That's what you've got to consider. I don't disagree with you, Simon. I think you're right. Yeah. He has stepped up to the plate. I don't disagree with you. But there are sometimes in big games, and this is a massive game for us because it wipes out any deficit we got to City if we beat them. It's massive. So you've got to sometimes think of that. There is an argument, by the way, to say you bring him on after 70 minutes, Ronaldo, if it's 0-0. I get that argument.
Yeah, he's been doing well like that as well. I think that's where he's had his most positive impacts. I think coming on with 20 minutes to go, whether he likes it or not. I think.
But I think
kind of where he's at the minute.
First, yeah, I think if we score first, it's a different game.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we're going to get to score predictions and our predicted 11, what we think Ten Hag is going to do. But it's worth mentioning that we could sneak into the top 4 with a win on Sunday, which is decent because Brighton have got Liverpool away, so they're above us by a point. So
Elton game, man, isn't
so it? It could be all positive by Sunday, but yeah, we've got tough opposition in front of us before we even think about that. So yeah, let's get to predicting our 11 then. So what we think Erik Ten Hag is going to go for on Sunday. So Anton, we kind of tend to do it with the keeper and then the back 4 all in one go. So who do you think he's going to plump for in that area of the pitch, man?
Same as the last 4. De Gea, Malacia, Martinez, Varane, and Dalot I think it has to be the back 4, and I think that's what Ten Hag will go for.
Yeah, that's been pretty standard of late, hasn't it? Have you got any arguments with that, Reece? Do you think he's going to do anything different in that sense? I mean, I don't think anybody's really put up much of an argument for coming in, and I don't think the players that are playing have, given him much reason to displace them either. So you think it probably stays the same, right?
Yeah, if it kind of picks itself, I think he's quite a classic manager in the sense of spirit. He likes to, if somebody's in the place that generally and they've got no reason to sort of like be dropped, then I think he sticks with them, which is I like that. That's quite old school, and it's like if you turn up to training on time and you put your work in training and you get a chance. It's kind of all those kind of things, and yeah, it might be a little bit kind of cliche and a bit old school, but I quite like it, and he's doing that, and the team's winning, so there's no reason to kind of change and drop it. Obviously, he's going to have a bit of a task on his hands when he's got the run of games that we've got over the next sort of month, but the European games will kind of be where he rotates. But no, I think in terms of league games, he's got a good chance of being by the end of the month, somewhere close to being in that top four with a serious shout. So yeah, I think he sticks with that back line, to be quite honest. Yeah.
Yeah. Stu, any arguments with that? Have you anybody else going to come in?
No argument. No.
I didn't think so. I'm not sure we're going to have much arguments all the way through this, to be honest with you. But
I would say it was good to see Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw's cameo was pretty decent, by the way.
Yeah.
And that's great. That is that you've got two left backs playing at a good level at the minute is great. But no, there's absolutely no way he'll bring in Shaw. It's going to be Malacia, whatever you want to call him.
Yeah, Malacia.
I agree with that back five.
I don't think it was like Gary Neville. Then Gary Neville keeps calling him Malacia.
He does, doesn't he? Yeah.
That's not how you say it, guys. Come on, get with the program. Hopefully, it's sorted out by the time we come back. Right, Anton, who are you going for midfield? We tend to have a three for midfield, whether we count Bruno in that midfield or whoever the number 10 may be. So what would your midfield three be?
All right, so I'm going to go Bruno and Eriksen, but I think people are turning in favour of McTominay because he's playing well, so I'm going to keep McTominay in the side. There isn't a reason for him to be dropped, and I haven't said that about McTominay, I think, ever. So I think right now, Casemiro is obviously probably the best in his position, but McTominay is playing very well, and he can't be dropped. So I'm going to go with McTominay, Eriksen, and Bruno in the midfield. Yeah,
is that's what you think Ten Hag will do as well? Yeah. Sorry, I worded the phrase into you wrong there before, but I also agree with you. Spoiler alert. Reece, do you think Casemiro comes in with a shout, or is it again echoing back to the thing that no one's done anything particularly wrong, so no one really needs to come out yet? I mean, Casemiro's got a bit of a fight on his hands at the moment, and like we say, it does seem strange. But
I was more kind of surprised with the European game, really, that it didn't start. I know he came on, didn't he? Had a good few minutes, I think. Did he have like a 30-minute spell? But I think it might have been a bit longer than that. But yeah, McTominay's done nothing wrong to be dropped. The only thing is now, obviously, we are approaching World Cup time, which is weird to say in September, nearly October, but we are. And Casemiro's featuring for Brazil. I believe he played pretty well the last two games, from what I'm being told. I think he got an assist. So, is he going to start demanding that he's playing leading up to the World Cup? I mean, could it be the opposite? Is he pretty happy that he's probably not playing every week, so that at least he's going to be fit for the World Cup? I'm not sure. I can't see Brazil sort of dropping him anyway. So I don't think the place is particularly competitive in that position. But McTominay's done nothing wrong, so I think he plays. I think in terms of recent performances that he's put in against City over the last few years as well, has been very, very good. I think he enjoys the fight. I think he understands the enormity of the game against City. Playing, obviously coming through the ranks at United and stuff like that. I think he understands kind of that what this game means. Not to say that other players don't, but I think it's a bit more special to probably him than it is other players, so that he's up for the fight a little sooner than maybe other players are. So I think McTominay does start. I've still got some reservations about the Eriksen Bruno thing. Not Eriksen, but the Bruno one. But does it work with Eriksen? I'm not entirely sure. It has worked. It has been working, but can it be better? Can it be improved upon? I think it possibly can. I'm not sure we're getting the best out maybe Bruno much more than Eriksen. But I think there's, we can play to Eriksen's strength a little bit better as well. I mean, he's been unbelievable since we've had him, but I think we can play even better, which is scary. But yeah, I'm not entirely sure of them two playing with each other, and I think that's got an expiry date, if I'm brutally honest. But I think them three will be playing in the midfield. So yeah, that's all. I will go. I think the only place we're going to look at change here, Simon, is probably the front three. But yeah. I mean, that's the midfield. I think McTominay, Eriksen, and Bruno, if I'm honest.
Yeah, Stu, have you any arguments on this? I mean, there's possibly an argument that he tries to tighten it up and maybe text one of the attacking midfielders out, but taking Eriksen off or Bruno out is, it's a big call at this stage with form and the fact that Bruno's essentially captain at the moment as well. So do you think he'll be swayed into doing anything like that, or will he stick with what has been working like he has been throughout the last few games and throughout the team, really?
I kind of think you've got to bite the bullet now with Casemiro. You've got to put him in at some point. Yeah. You've got to play the guy. And I agree with the arguments about McTominay. I think he's been terrific, or better than he's been for Manchester United, which is terrific because he's been pretty woeful, hasn't he, up until this time? So there's a massive gap in his performances. But there are times in football where you've got to take a chance on someone. And Casemiro, has been there, seen it, done it. I remember when we signed Varane. Everybody calls him Champions League Varane. Nobody's called Casemiro Champions League Casemiro. He's won everything at Real Madrid. He's been played in the biggest games. He understands the biggest games of football. And I think this particular game will suit Casemiro to a T. He will be brilliant for us.
He beat City twice last season in the
Champions League. Yeah. However, he won't do it. I can't see Ten Hag doing it, but if I was Ten Hag, I would give Casemiro the nod on this and say, look, he knows what he's doing in there. And if you don't blood him, when are you going to blood him? There's no point blooding him. Against Osasuna not Osasuna, the Champions League game we've got coming up. What's the point in blooding him against that? You've got to blood somebody at the very, very best. And I think it'd be perfect for him. And that would then release Eriksen a bit more, and then you've got the Bruno. I'm with Reece, by the way, in the Eriksen-Bruno combination. I'm not 100% sure it works. I did say this right at the very, very beginning when we were linked with Eriksen, and I was a bit worried about how it would work, and I don't think we found that fluidity yet between them. So there is an opportunity to maybe say you could push Bruno up somewhere in the front three, and then maybe bring another midfielder in. I don't know, but I'm going to go with Casemiro. I'm going to go with Bruno. I'm going to go with Eriksen. That is going to be my three.
Yeah.
Just to add to what you said there, Stu. Sorry, Simon. And just
that's right.
Into the McTominay thing as well. And I think we're all in favour of how kind of Eric Ten Hag's been sort of dealing with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've just said there, like I'm so in favour of his old school style that if you're playing well, there's no reason to drop you. If you're training well, you get a chance, all that kind of stuff. But the moment he plays bad, which might be the moment he actually puts Casemiro in, that's like a big knock to McTominay's confidence as well. It's like, it can only go down from here, can't it, really, in terms of... So McTominay's kind of on this last life, really, where as soon as he plays bad, it's like, right, Casemiro's in.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, that's going to really knock him down several pegs, not just a peg. So he's got a big risk there, hasn't he, in terms of what he does with Casemiro as well, and how he kind of copes with McTominay and that situation. So it's a bit really.
I think he's got a decent attitude though on him, McTominay, as well, and you can tell him. Yeah. I don't think he'll become too disheartened because I think he always backs himself, doesn't he? But it must see the fact that he's got this world class midfielder ahead of him in his position, and he probably does feel like his time as a fully regular starter might be up, but it's how he reacts to that, isn't it? Yeah, let's move on to the forward line before we get some score predictions in. So, Anton, who do you think Ten Hag will go with for his front three from the start on Sunday?
This one is much more tricky because of injuries. He was going to play Anthony on the right, so I think that's pretty cemented. I saw on Twitter earlier, I can't remember the page, so I don't want to say the wrong name, but they said Rashford is 50-50 for the weekend. Martial, I think, is back in training, but I don't know how long he's been there. If Martial's fit, I would expect him to start him, to be honest, through the middle. And if Rashford is 50-50, then I wouldn't expect him to play if Martial was fit. So it's like there's a lot of ifs and buts here.
Yeah.
Anthony's starting. If Martial's fit, he plays through the middle and Sancho's on the right. If Rashford is fit, then Martial still plays through the middle and Rashford is on the left. It's a bit... I think Sancho is going to be the sacrificial lamb here, unfortunately, because I'm a big fan of Sancho. But I do expect Martial to play if he is genuinely ready.
Right.
But that's one thing we haven't seen with Erik ten Hag, though. If a player isn't 100% fit, they haven't been playing, which I like. So it's going to be we have to wait for the press conference, really, to find out whether Martial is going to be ready or not. But yeah, Anthony's starting on the right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's nailed on, that one, isn't it? Yeah, Reece, like Anton said, this is probably the most difficult bit to call on which way it's going to go, especially with injuries and not knowing what the situation is it really until the press conference and the next few days training. But with the information we've got right now, what are you saying is the front three?
Assuming all players are fit, other than obviously Martial, assuming Rashford comes back in, I think is, like Anton said there, I think Anthony definitely starts on the right hand side. Personally, I'd go full pace. I'd go that way. So I'd play Rashford and Haaland. I wouldn't sort of go with the number 9 position personally. I do see Stu's point of view, by the way, in terms of playing Ronaldo. I just think the chances we're going to get, and yeah, that's probably the point in playing him. The chances we're going to get are going to be few and far between to play Ronaldo. I just think it's going to be, we're going to get a goal from hitting them on the break. So I'd go full pace, really, and maybe even play Haaland, Rashford and Anthony. We're not going to hold up the ball very well. We're not going to sort of bring other people into play, but we're going to counter attack, and them three are going to be flying forward. And then maybe you sort of change it up, sort of 60, 70 minutes in, where you sort of bring a Ronaldo on and try to slow it down a bit. But yeah, I think it's going to be Anthony right, Rashford left. It's going to be a tricky one. Who plays down the middle? It's probably going to be Ronaldo, I think. I probably wouldn't play Ronaldo. I'd probably play Rashford in the middle and Haaland on the left. But to have it where they're just interchanging all the time. But I think it'd be Ronaldo. So I think it'd be Rashford, Ronaldo, and Anthony on the right. I don't think Sancho's going to start this game, personally.
Interesting, that, because he's been in decent form, but everybody thinks he's gonna drop out so far. Stu,
he's one of those players, I think, with Sancho. Sorry, he's one of those players with Sancho. I think you've got to have the ball. You have the possession of the ball. I think Anthony's very similar to that, which is why it's a little bit of a worry, because I don't think he's somebody who's going to run him behind. I think he's somebody who likes the ball at his feet, and we need to be on the ball constantly, and he needs to get 10 or 12 touches on the ball per game to do anything with it. So that's where Sancho kind of looks poor, because he kind of gets isolated and he's a little bit quiet. But he might completely turn it all around. He might play Garnacho and Sancho and Anthony.
Just anybody, just throw 3 of them on there, be right.
Yeah, as long as they can kick a ball.
Stu, get your crystal ball out then. What will Ten Hag go for?
Yeah, I read somewhere that Rashford was 50-50 and Martial was back in training. I'm going Anthony, Ronaldo, Sancho. Sancho on the left, Anthony on the right, Ronaldo for the middle. That's what I'm going for.
Do you really think Ronaldo's going to start, though? I mean, you have Martial potentially back and Rashford on. He just got Player of the Month as well. Let's not forget that.
I think until we know the fitness update of both, then I think Ronaldo might get the nod. Yeah, I do. Yeah.
By the way, is Anton's video frozen?
Yeah, like.
Oh, right. I thought he was really unimpressed with Stu's selection there.
No, we can still hear him. It's a fair point, but I think the Prez is going to be key on this one. I think you're right, Anton. The Prez is going to be key. So I'm going to go Sancho, Ronaldo, and Anthony. Yeah, that would be my pick. I don't think it's going to be right. That's what I think.
Might be. So we're back.
See, with Ronaldo as well, I think he's slowing down.
By the way, we got.
Oh,
he is.
Oh,
I just think I just freeze for everybody.
My internet's crashing out as well. So we'll get to wrapping it up anyway. I think soon. But yeah, that's our predicted 11 then based on the votes. I mean, Rashford had a couple of votes as well, but he's 50-50. So I've left him on the side. But that's where we're at for this game, and I think that team stands a decent chance. But equally, I do think there's a good chance that Casemiro does come in, like we've said, and maybe makes us even more solid, hopefully. But I mean,
the bench is looking pretty scary now as well, which is quite a nice sign. Casemiro there, obviously Shaw. You've got Martial, Rashford,
Elanga.
It's just it's starting to look a little bit healthy, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I mean, the Preza, like you say, could completely change everybody's opinion, couldn't it? And that's the key to it. So I think the Preza will be. But if you got Rashford at 50-50 and you got Martial just coming back, he might not want to risk them. And Reece has said we don't know what he's going to be like with players that are injured, how long he's going to give them to come back. So if you take those two out of the equation, you've got no choice anyway.
Yeah. Right, let's quickly get some score predictions and first goal scorer predictions as well. Then we'll get off. Don't think too hard about it though, Anton. There's only thousands and thousands of pounds up for grabs, so there's not really. I should disclaimer that. Yeah. What score are you going for, and who's going to score the first goal? It doesn't necessarily have to be a United player if you want to get a point for it.
Me.
Yeah, you.
I'm gonna go 3-1 United, and I'm gonna have
excellent.
As the first goal scorer, I'm just gonna say Christian Eriksen, because why not? Because I don't know who's starting up front. I'm just gonna say Christian Eriksen, and
it feels pretty set that he's gonna start, doesn't it? Yeah. Reece, what score are you going for in your first goal scorer, mate?
Mine's gonna be pretty. Less entertaining than probably most, but I'm going to say 1-1 to be quite honest. I think that'll be a pretty good result for us as well. Maybe obviously not a good result for them, but I think it'll be a good result for us. And I think it'll be a City player first. I think like Foden will score first. I got Bruno to score the equaliser. So yeah,
Philip Foden. Stu, what are you going for, mate?
I'm going to go 2-1, and I think like Anton, Eriksen free kick.
Eriksen free kick. I'm going to assume that is a 2-1 to us, because
2-1 to us. Yeah, Eriksen free kick for the first. Yeah,
I was gonna copy you then, Stu, but I'm just gonna be ballsy and say 3-2, because I feel like we've had a nice number of 3-2s, and I think
3-2.
I think we're going to be on the winning end, and I think Jadon Sancho again at the Etihad like last year. Although that one did not end well, so hopefully better outcome this time. Right. I'm not sure what we've got coming up for the rest of the week. Stu, have you got a tactical show with Abdel, or is he...
Yeah, I'm going to record one on Friday. I don't know if I'm recording or we're going live yet.
Cool.
But we're doing a tactical preview about the City game. So myself and Abdel will be doing that, and then we've got the last word on Sunday.
Yeah, which we'll be discussing the game, obviously, and
we'll be discussing the game. I don't know if Callum's back yet. He might be making a reappearance.
Yeah, we miss Cal. He needs to get back on, doesn't he?
He does, bless him. But yeah, and then I think Reece is back up on Monday.
Yeah, man. So plenty to look for on the channel, and also the women's channel will also be covering the women's game this weekend. I think they've got a cup game this weekend at Villa, I think. So yeah, they're doing some good stuff over there as well. Connor's got some good videos out. They do some diaries of their of going to the games and stuff. They're an interesting watch as well. So yeah, be sure to check out them and subscribe to them, and keep subscribing to us, sharing and everything. Keep commenting. We're loving all the feedback. We're nearly at 6.5k subscribers, so just another 30 to go. So if we can get that over the weekend, we would be absolutely delighted. So yeah, keep remembering to share All for United, and whilst you're at it on Twitter, give it all these guys a follow. All the handles are in the little underneath their faces there. So yeah, be sure to give them all a follow. And until next time, I mean, we'll hopefully on Sunday we'll all be very happy, whoever's on the show, and we'll see you next. When have we got is it Europa League next Thursday? Actually, it might be a different day. Yeah, it might be a different day for this preview next week. But we'll
we're at home next Thursday. My tickets just arrived. Actually, is it?
Nice,
lovely. Yeah. Well, a preview will be next week, whether it's Tuesday or Wednesday. But yeah, we'll be talking about the Europa League game next time out. So until then, guys, I will see you later, and thanks for watching. Cheers. Bye.
Thank you.